and then obviously everyone's like, he's not the true champion until he beats Arman, because Arman was the guy that was supposed to get the shot but didn't because he fumbled the bag and all this stuff. But I do want to see that fight. That should be the next fight.
Well,
I do want to see
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying it might not happen based upon a mistake by certain people bringing other people in the cage and stuff. Look, I don't think that's going to be the next fight. I do think in the end, first off, Topuria coming up, winning the title, he wants Paddy Pimblett. Now, I'm not, the only thing that will keep that fight from happening is the UFC doesn't want someone to get a loss. Because Topuria is undefeated in the UFC, undefeated in his mixed martial arts career. Pimblett has got losses early on, but he's undefeated in the UFC. So, Dana was not happy in the fact that someone decided to bring Paddy Pimblett up, but it's clear that Topuria, that's who he wants. He has said it. He goes, look, Topuria talked about it in his press conference. He said, hey, man, it's hard to fight Charles because I like him as a human being. I mean, he's a good person. He's, with his family, and you see him with his teammates, and he just does all the right things. And I don't like Paddy Pimblett. I want to hurt him. And you look and you go, well, you kind of got something there. Yeah. And Paddy's a good talker. Paddy, and Paddy's done well. Tell me you couldn't sell this. I think, marketing wise, I think you've got a winner there. And then after that, then bring on Arman Sarukian.
Yeah, I saw a couple people in the comments going like he should just forget about Islam for right now, because that fight won't happen anyways till the middle of next year if it did happen.
That's a long ways off.
Yeah, I think that fight needs to be pushed to the side anyways, because you've got Arman and you've got Paddy that are right there. Those two guys I feel like should be the guys that get the shot. Now, I think because Arman made the weight, showed up as the backup, kind of righted the wrong for Dana White. And Dana White came out publicly and said the reason why he didn't get that
fight.
Said
exactly what we said.
We said exactly what everyone pretty much speculated.
It's not a back. He couldn't make weight.
He couldn't make the weight. And look, people were buzzing about it and talking about the fact that he couldn't make the weight. But then I think because his coaches in the corners, they came out and said it was a back issue. I think everyone just kind of was like, oh, maybe it's a back issue. But bottom line is I think he righted the wrong. He made the weight. He came in as a backup fighter. I honestly believe that he's going to end up being next. I don't see the reason why I don't think that they're going to put Paddy next is because I think they want to keep Ilia there for a little bit. They're like, look, let's get the Arman fight, and then let's get the Paddy fight. Let's see what happens.
You think that the Arman fight is an easier fight for Topuria than Paddy?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. But I think they want to. If he goes and beats Paddy, that's a pretty big payday. And then what's keeping him from going, like, I want my third title. Let's go to 170. I don't need to fight Arman. I think they're going to try to test him. They're going to say, hey, let's have you fight Arman. I think they're going to try to test him. I think that fight's going to end up being next. Because you could tell Dana was visibly upset, John.
Oh, he was mad. Yeah, there was no doubt. I've seen him there before. In person.
So he was upset at the fact that they were like, hey, that someone had let him in the cage. I understand why. Like that's honestly that if you're gonna say if there's the biggest fight right now in comparison to Khabib and Conor, that's probably the next closest fight. Probably the next closest fight.
Yeah.
Does that fight break 1 million pay-per-view buys?
Well, I don't. Pay-per-views in a different place now, and we'll see what the UFC does with all of their negotiations for their TV deals, but. When you take a look at it, you really got to look and say, Ilia is doing exactly what Conor did, but more.
Yeah, but he's not the talking piece that Conor was.
No, he's not. But he doesn't say it with the same flamboyance. He's much more blunt about, hey, look, I'm going to knock him out, and he doesn't he doesn't sit there and get into the whole thing with the brogue and everything. But he's calling how he's going to do it. He's saying when he's going to do it, and he's actually going and defending those titles. At least he defended the featherweight title once, and now he's going to defend the lightweight title. So you got to say, you're looking at it, man. He's doing it a little bit better than Conor did it.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I believe he is doing a little bit better than Conor. Conor obviously can't be compared. There's no comparison, I think, between the two in terms of their
very rough. Oh yeah,
yeah. But Ilia, for me,
Connor on the mic is better.
Connor on the mic for sure is better, yes. But there are different styles of the way that they talk. I love the fact that the respect that Ilia showed Charles, saying, hey, I love him. I like him. I really like him as a person. Yeah. He's great, like you said, with his teammates. He's great with his family. Like, you always see him with his family and his friends. It's easy to fight guys like that. You don't want to have to fight them, but it's easy because you respect them. Yeah. You know that you can let it all hang out and they're not going to be douchebags afterwards. That's always been one of my talking points. Anytime I was motivated to fight somebody, I knew how respectful certain fighters were. And those are the fighters that you wanted to fight because you understood what they've been through. You understood they understood what you've been through, and you enjoy, having to compete against fighters like that. So, and I think he didn't want to have to do it, but he knew what the job was. This is the job. This is what we signed up for. And so, Charles will definitely be back. Ilia, he's got his work cut out for him. In the ideal world, are you thinking Paddy first and then Arman?
I am now. I wasn't before. Just being honest. Everything comes down to, as a promoter, you want things to be in line with what's going to work for you in selling that next show. But this sells. It does sell, and it sells throughout Europe. With Spain and England being there, you could hold it in either one. It would work because people from Spain would flood into England, or England would flood into Spain to go watch. And you take a look, they've got heat. They don't like each other. That's a good thing at times. Where the Arman Sarukian thing, Arman's kind of fell out of the light with what happened and everything. I just look at the pinnacle for Topuria is unknown. He is going to be that special kind of fighter. When we talk about, you get these kind of fighters once every decade, you'll get somebody. He's that guy. And you got to admit, right now, everyone that's looking at him and saying, I think I can beat him, they're not sure. The blueprint has not been established. The closest you could get is he got hit by Jai Herbert and hurt, but he came back and knocked him out. And so you look and you go, okay, well, we know everyone can be hurt. Yeah. So it's the way he came back in it and the way he has handled himself as the champion, winning with Volkanovski, as the champion with a challenger with Holloway, and now winning the lightweight. He's a 2-division champion. He's got it going on. The real question I'm going to ask of you is, what happens with Charles Oliveira now? Is that the last title shot you're going to see him in?
It depends on how long Ilia stays where he's at, because I think Ilia beats Justin Gaethje, and that's no disrespect to Justin. I just think stylistically that's a bad matchup for him. They both have power, and both can knock each other out. Justin can knock him out, and he can knock Justin out, I think. That being said, is it going to be Arman and Justin now fighting to see who's the number one contender? You know how Dana doesn't like to be told what to do.
Yes.
And the fact that Justin said, hey, they owe me, and he even commented on it in his press conference that, hey, if you're talking about retirement, if you don't get a title shot, then maybe you should just retire. He said that about everyone, not just Justin Gaethje. He said that about every single fighter that has brought up retirement. Yeah. And so that being said, would it be – I would like to see, my personal opinion, I want to see Arman and Ilia. Then I also want to see Paddy and Justin Gaethje. Those are the two fights I think to make. And then you put Charles somewhere in that mix of either fighting the winners after that, because he's going to need 180 days off or whatever the suspension is in terms of time. But if I'm looking at this lightweight division, right, in this lightweight division here, you've got Dustin's going to be gone. Why not Charles and Max at 155? I know they fought before, but why not have them fight again?
Yeah, but when they fought before, that was a strange fight. That ended weird with some kind of shoulder injury for Charles and stuff. So not really. Yeah, it was a win for Max, no doubt about it, but not one that you can sit there and say, oh, well, I've seen it. You really haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm. But that's my point.
I agree.
That's a good matchup, and now you also can settle that. You can settle the score, or not settle the score, but let the dust settle with Arman and Justin, or you can have Arman fight Ilia, and you can have Justin fight Paddy. Because Paddy actually, I think that's a good fight for Paddy, but I also think it's a really tough fight for Paddy. Because Gaethje's going to be there. You know that fight's going to be a 5-round main event. You know they're going to put it as a main event somewhere. That's a great fight. In terms of them, Ilia and Paddy, and we were talking about pay-per-views. I think it does break 1 million. The reason why I believe it is because it's going to be in the UK, it's going to be in Spain. I think they're going to flood the market. It's going to flood. Now, if they can't get that together until they sign their new TV deal, then I can see that being one of those huge fights that Netflix decides to sign and take over.
Yeah.
So
that's the kind of fight that they're looking for. That's what they want to put out on their network and stuff. And that's what the UFC can deliver. The real question is, how pissed off is Dana? It's really going to be when he looks at it and he goes back and he's going to say, because I'm sure he's already had some talks with Arman and his management about look, come in, be the guy that weighs in, be our alternate for this fight, and then that's putting him back in that position. Now he's got to go back and talk to them again.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Find out. But look, overall though, this right now, look, I'm gonna say this again. Right now, I feel like this is a resurgence of MMA right now. Having someone like an Ilia Topuria, and you have Islam now going to 70. You have this marketability of and then you've got Merab at 135.
You have all these new guys. There's a lot of new blood coming up. Look at Joshua Van. We're going to talk about him.
Yes, we
talk about new blood coming up and things happening. Look at Pantoja and the performance he put on. That he's getting into that. Hey, could he be one of the best flyweights that's ever been? All these things that are happening. You got JDM, who just won the title in the welterweight, and now Islam's going to go up there. There's a lot of things that are happening that are all good things for the sport.
First one from Steven2272. I honestly thought Paddy was going to eat Ilia. LOL.
He didn't want to put on that much weight.
I mean, but let's be honest, man. Like, he's a Scouser. He can't be knocked out, John. He can't be knocked out. The Scouser can't be knocked out.
Look, I've seen Paddy in his wins, and I've seen Paddy lose. Paddy has not lost because he's getting the last loss that he had was against Soren. Soren Bach, who's a wrestler, and Soren was able to control him on the ground and win a fight. It was it was not an exciting fight. It was a boring fight, but he lost it. But you take a look at Paddy. Paddy's a good fighter. He the look and everything. The Beatles haircut for a while there and everything and stuff. And people didn't like the movement and stuff. But hey, he's fun and he can fight, and he's proved that. His last run of the people he's been fighting, they're older, but these are the people you have to beat, and he's done exactly what he was supposed to do, and he's put himself. The real question is, Paddy, I think, is ranked somewhere around 7th or 8th in the UFC right now. So it's tough when you got a guy who's ranked, we'll say 8th, moving up and getting a title shot. You got, look at Gamrot. Gamrot just won, right? He doesn't get it. He doesn't get the title fight. Look at Hooker. He's in that position. He doesn't get the title fight. Take a look at all these guys that are in that position. They didn't, but Paddy down at number 8, gets it. That's part of what's rough for Dana.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you guys YouTube 150 for the promo code. Also, Element, use the link in the descriptions down below. Any product you buy from there, they will send you a bonus package of product if you use our link down below. Element's amazing, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us.